Greetings, members of the Empowered Sensitive Leaders community. This is Bevan Neiman. I'm one of the co-founders, and this is the monthly leadership oracle reading. And I decided to do it a little bit differently this month. I am recording this in September of 2021, but I trust that whenever you find this message and you tap into your sun sign or moon sign or rising or any other part of your chart, the message is for you at that time. And this is the first time I've ever done a zodiac reading, so I will actually put the timestamps below so that you can go directly to the part that's relevant for you and watch any of those things that work for you. I'm actually using the Shaman's Dream Oracle. I love Alberto Villoldo and Colette Baron-Reid. They're just amazing. They put out so many wonderful divination tools, and this is one of my favorites. So here is the deck itself. I'm just going to shuffle, and I'm going to pull a card. It feels like off the bottom this time, so I'll do the bottom. I will begin with Aries and then work my way through the zodiac. And I look forward to connecting with you, having you comment on how the card actually resonated with you. These readings are primarily focused around career, leadership, entrepreneurship, if you are such a person, volunteerism, activism, however you are expressing your leadership out in the world. It could even be in your family system. So take that as it resonates with you, but you can apply them to any aspect of your life. So I'm going to take a quick pause, and then we will dive into each sign. Welcome, Aries. I am also an Aries sun, so I understand our fiery nature very intimately, the ram, the fire signs of the deck. So let's just pull a card here. I'm going to pull from the bottom, and I'm just going to interpret this based on what I see, what I feel, what I sense for you. And I have the interpretation book in case we need to go a little bit deeper. It feels good for me. So let's pull this bottom card. Okay, so what came up for you, Aries, my fire signs, is straddling worlds, wandering between realms, right? We have a 52, so that breaks down to a 7, which is a very spiritual card. It's a spiritual number, it's spiritual growth. We can often find ourselves straddling worlds, and I'll just speak for myself as an Aries. One of the ways that we straddle is feeling like we're really energized to get out there and do our soul work and write that book and make that podcast and volunteer and change the world, right? And then we have this other part of ourselves that can be really internal, can be really, really internal. And you see these two figures here just sort of battling with each other, right? Am I out there doing and doing and doing and doing, or am I taking time to take care of myself and to nurture myself and to just be, right? So this is the Aries dilemma. Do I start something new? Do I move forward? Do I take care of it? Do I take action? I feel like I want to. And then okay, now I'm exhausted. Maybe I took on too many things. And when we have one foot in both of those worlds, it can be really challenging. We can kind of lose our focus. We can get to a place where we're not sure, okay, what am I supposed to do here, right? What am I supposed to do? So when you get stuck between two worlds, first of all, what I like to do, because I've been in this place many, many times, when I transition from one relationship to another, or one career to another, I moved from one place to another. There's always that in between before you get settled into what's new. And there's always a releasing of what was before. And so what I like to do is just be okay with the fact that I'm between worlds. It doesn't feel comfortable for us. We like to be action oriented. We like to be achieving our goals. We like to be out there, doing things. But then especially as a sensitive Aries, right? A highly sensitive Aries, we need to have that downtime, And so what if we could embrace straddling two worlds? What if we could enjoy that? Instead of fighting within ourselves, we choose which energy at which time is best for us and what feels most nurturing. And so this is what I would, the advice that I would give you today. Any Aries in this community, who are watching this video, allow yourself to be there. Allow yourself to be in that place and to realize that that could actually be a benefit, right? Because you get the best of both situations. So you're going to know exactly what this relates to in your world. It could be juggling two different projects. It could be two choices. Maybe you're at a crossroads and you're like, I'm not sure where to go. This could be working to leave a mainstream position and move into something that's more spiritual, holistic. You're going to know what this is for you, but embrace the in-between, embrace the foot in both worlds, and begin to notice, when do I need to use one kind of energy and when do I need to use another? So a best of you for this month, Aries, and for myself too. I'm so excited that this is really a spiritual journey for you. You know, you're really coming into a deeper awareness of all of these energies within yourself, and you're choosing what's actually going to be supportive and nurturing for you at this time. Welcome, Taurus. I have several friends that are Tauruses. I love them. They're just amazing. This bull energy, sometimes it can be a bull in the china shop, right? And then other times there's a huge strength, right? Able to pull a big load, able to stand and be present and really hold that presence there. And it's a very earthy, grounded energy. So let's see what this month has in store for you, Tauruses, for your leadership, career, entrepreneurship journey, passion projects, whatever that might be. I'm going to pull right here from the bottom. I love it. You received stars in the sky, limitless possibilities. Wow. So I think it's really ironic and funny that Tauruses, who are very earthy and grounded, got this whole sky energy, right? And to me, this shows that we are meant to be a bridge, right? In our humanity, in our conscious awareness, as we build our spiritual connection, we are meant to have our feet on the ground in practical earthly matters. And we are meant to be visionaries as well. We're meant to cultivate that part of ourselves. So you see here that there's a stone bridge. This would be a great example of Tauruses, right? Very solid, very secure, this beautiful arch. And yet this person, which sort of looks like an energy being, is elevated above that, right? Elevated and connecting with all the stars in the sky. I mean, if you really go outside at night, and I love to do that, I live in New Mexico, so there's ample opportunity and very little light pollution, so you can see a lot. There are infinite numbers of stars as we currently understand it. So what if you can step into limitless possibilities? So it may be that, Taurus, you are, or you have been kind of setting some boundaries for yourself, and self-boundaries can be good. But if you're setting limitations, if you're arguing for your limitations in your career, in your soul work, if you're saying, well, that could never happen, I could never move from X position in the corporate world, or working for someone else to working for myself, for example, or I could never pursue spirituality full time, or I have this vision for what I'd love to see in the world, but I just don't know how to practically make it happen. This is where you begin to tap into this energy. This is where you not only receive the energy up through your feet and through your body and into your heart, but you receive it from above, and it floats down through your third eye, giving you all kinds of intuitive knowing, and into your throat so that you can speak it out into the world, and then down into your heart, and it meets there in the middle. Right? It meets there in the middle. And this is where you can get really grounded. And your number is 51, which breaks down to a 6. So this is about stability, family, community, connections, that you may not really want to be able to do this yourself, right? A bull could be stubborn. There's no Tauruses out there in this community that's stubborn, right? But if we allow ourselves to connect and see ourselves as this interconnected ecosystem, as they say, we are stardust, right? We are golden, and we've got to get ourselves back to the garden. And this is absolutely true. This is absolutely true for you. So maybe there's a connection with nature, particularly the night sky. the astrological configurations, that is really calling to you to tap into this person just meditating here, receiving all of this energy. And if you've been a little bit stuck or in the limitation sort of thinking, getting out into nature, getting underneath the stars, looking up into the universe, realizing you are a part of something so, so immense, and yet you're a really important part of that, I think could be really helpful for you. And just opening yourself. What if I were able to imagine all possibilities? What would that look like? And just allowing yourself to flow forward and to be led and to be guided to your next steps. So Tauruses, I hope this is helpful. I hope you have a wonderful, limitless possibility kind of month. And I'll see you soon inside the community. Welcome to the Geminis in our community. Hello, the twins. And I have to say, honestly, I don't know a lot about Gemini, although I've known a couple of people who had Gemini moon, but I'm not as familiar with your sign. And so I'm excited to tap into what your energy is. I know you are an air sign. So air signs can tend to be up in that mental realm. Gemini is sort of duality, right? And connection and partnership. And the twins, right? So twins, while they have genetically identical DNA, at least identical twins do, they often can grow up to have very different interests and aspects. So let's see, I'm just going to pull a card off the bottom. I'm using the Shaman's Dream here, which is an amazing deck. And let's see what is coming for you. Let's pull this bottom card. Well, this makes sense. Wow, there's so much imagery in this card. I just need to look for a moment so that I can tap into this for you. Okay, so let's dive in. This is a deep one. Probably doesn't surprise me that it's mindful, right? We just talked about air signs being very mental, and groupthink, right? So we are all present to groupthink. We are present to groupthink through social media, through being in communities. I mean, there are kind of norms, depending on what culture, what country you're from. There are norms depending on your family system. There's a sort of groupthink. And groupthink isn't bad by itself, right? It can be positive if people are kind of aligned in their thinking and their beliefs and their philosophies and how they show up in the world, and they work together to accomplish something and to solve problems, which is what our mind is really good at doing. However, groupthink can also lead us into just blindly following what is the status quo. And of course, in this community, we're talking about a lot of things that are not mainstream. We're talking about intuition and mediumship and, animal empaths and all kinds of things that a lot of people don't understand. And so this card to me for you is really starting to build some stability. You've got number 4 here, building some stability in your sense of self, right? In your sense of self. You know, there is sort of this keyhole here to unlock it. And I saw the key. The key was actually right here next to the rose, right here. And so, there's something obviously blossoming for you. Some place where things have been locked down, whether that's in your mind, it's a blind spot, you haven't been able to see it, or unconsciously you had just taken in all these messages from the group around you. You're going to know what this means to you. But you realize it's just put up this stone wall, right? It's a barrier. And behind that, gosh, there's so many things. There's this beautiful forest and flowers cascading. There's a temple. There's a cat. It may be hard to see, but there's a little cat here looking at a hummingbird. And there's an umbrella coming up in this place, sort of like a Japanese style umbrella with time and music. And in the very center is a carousel, right? With the horses, the animals going around and around and around. So sometimes our mind can get on the hamster wheel. I don't know if anyone's ever experienced that as a highly sensitive person. I imagine if you're watching this, you're just nodding along at this point. We can get on a hamster wheel. And when you go to a carousel, I remember riding these when I was a kid, and I've ridden them several times as an adult just because it's fun. You pick which animal or horse or whatever you want. So, you're like, okay, I like the zebra or like the giraffe or whatever it is. And then you go around and around and they play the music. And it's really exciting at first. And then the farther you get into it, you're like, oh, okay. I keep hearing the same annoying carnival music. Gosh, maybe I'd like to ride another animal. You start looking around, you're like, I really wish I would have picked that one. And then you're like, okay, I'm ready to get off, right? And so this is how our mind can work. Our mind can work in this way. And I think that this corner image here, which is pretty hard to see, where there's a tower, so we're reaching up into something and we can see something from a higher distance. And then this cat is just sort of looking at the hummingbird that's coming in. The hummingbird, of course, is a spirit, an animal spirit with a very high vibration. So how do we release ourselves from this sort of lockdown, really rigid thinking, always following the status quo, and allow ourselves to bloom and to get up into this higher perspective and to connect in with that higher vibrational thinking? And, for my Geminis this month, I think that you need to really work with your mind. I think it's important to question, okay, this is the way people say it is supposed to be done, whether that's in your career, with your leadership, with a project you're passionate about. And yet it doesn't feel right for you. It feels constrictive. It feels like groupthink. And it's time for you to break out of that and to really blossom. And that requires you to put in the time. We have the time here to maybe even kind of give yourself a little bit of, mental grace or protection, right? We all have these thoughts inside of our heads, and some of the thoughts are helpful and uplifting, and some of those thoughts are really down spiraling, if you will. And so when we start to recognize that this is happening, we say, okay, shh. I understand that's that old conditioning. It's an old group think. I don't want to think that way anymore. I want to free myself. I want to play. I want to climb the tower and look out over the vista. I want to vibrate like a hummingbird. And I want my thoughts, particularly my thoughts, to be really in alignment with where I'm going and what my heart is saying. We can't forget the heart part, right? The mind is really powerful, but the heart has a knowing that's really, really important for you, Geminis, to pay attention to this month. So I hope that's helpful, and I look forward to seeing you inside the community. Welcome, dear Cancers, our crabs, our wonderful water signs here. Our nurturers, our family connections, our caregivers, right? I know I have a Cancer South node. So this is what I brought in from my last lifetime, was being very much in my deeply feminine, magnetic energy, nurturing and caring. And those are wonderful things. So let's see what your leadership, career, entrepreneurship message is for this month. I'm just going to pull right here off of the bottom. Beautiful, beautiful. Well, it doesn't surprise me. Here's your moon. Cancers, just totally immersed in moon energy. I don't know if you follow the cycles of the moon, particularly the full moon, and it's strong energy that we have every single lunar cycle. The 4 and the 1 make a 5. So this is an indicator of change. And of course it says new beginnings, right? And we were just talking about, were we not just talking about the more feminine, magnetic type of energy? And here you have the moon maiden. So the moon is such a powerful symbol in astrology, and just in, common lore. It is our intuitive knowing. It is really listening when it's time to finish one thing and to begin another, when there's this spark. And maybe you can't really see all the details, my Cancers. You probably know, if you have been kind of getting the inkling of an idea, a project, an idea for a business or a program or a podcast or whatever you're into, but you don't see all the details yet because the moon is a little bit hidden. It's a reflective energy, right? And so this is a part where, you're invited to go within. You're invited to go within and really tap in to your inner knowing. Really trust yourself. Trust yourself. This may feel like I have no idea how to do this. And here she is, like literally holding up the entire moon. It's like, well, that's a heavy burden, right? But I really feel like there's something here. You see this glow, this spark of energy. And so I'm excited to hear, and I'd love to have you share in the comments section of this video, Cancers, what is new for you? What are you getting lit up about? What is just illuminating for you little bit by little bit? I mean, by the time we get to the full moon and you walk around outside, it can almost feel like daytime because it's so bright and there's so much energy there. And it's time for you, right? It's time for you to fly. And you can see that she has these beautiful wings, and there's sort of a little bit of like glow or glitter going on there. And yet a part of her is going like this, like, I don't know if I'm ready. You are ready. You are ready. You need to trust yourself. You need to trust yourself. This is about a radical level of self-trust and just taking that first step and allowing that path to illuminate itself before you, right? You don't have to know all the aspects of it. You can't see the dark side of the moon, right? We can't see that. The moon is always facing in one direction towards us. So there's an unknown to this new career change that you're having, this jumping off point that you're taking on. And it's okay. It's okay that you don't know all those things. And it's okay that you're like, I'm not sure, but allow yourself to fly a little bit. Allow yourself to try something new. Get yourself into that place. Sometimes I think, because of my Cancer North Node or South Node, I can hunker down in my house and cook and decorate and just feel really good and really safe. And I don't have to try anything new. And then I need to, right? Like everything's calling out, Bevan, you should be doing something new. And that's really what this energy is for you. So yeah, Cancerians, tell me how this is going. And I'd love to hear, and I can't wait to connect with you inside the community. Welcome, Leos, to your monthly leadership reading. I have some family members, quite a few, who are Leos. So I know what you're all about. I love you. I love the fire signs. I'm an Aries, so I'm a sister fire sign. And just really excited to hear what the Lions are having to do this month. So let's talk a little bit about your career, your leadership, your entrepreneurship, and see what's there for you. Just going to pull the card on the bottom. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so the card you received is the Dragon's Board, protecting the future, right? Protecting the future. So I love to look at the numerology of these cards as well. So you have the 1 and the 2, which makes a 3. I'm actually a life path number 3, so I understand that energy very well. A 3 is 2 things plus one additional thing that makes it into something completely different than if it were only 2. With 2, we have the energy of duality. We have this or that. We have choices. But with 3, and I love this, I call it the third option, right? It's like, well, what have I not considered? How have I not considered ways that I actually could build my prosperity and my abundance in my career, with my job that I have, with the business that I'm running? What are some other ways, right? So you may have, a series of ways that you actually bring prosperity and abundance, whether those are opportunities, whether that's actual financial wealth. And this is the keys, right? The keys to the future. So there are 2 keys. They both have a heart. And then there's the dragon, which is really all curled up upon himself, herself, their self, and just guarding this little spark here, right? So perhaps you have a small idea and you've launched it into the world. whether you are creating an online course, or whether you're launching a program, or you're doing a retreat, or whatever it is, you have this idea, right? And you've started to launch it. You've actually, put the keys out there. So keys are an indicator that something is moving forward, right? It's a message, it's an opening of a door. And then you're saying, okay, well, how do I expand this now? You see this dragon is very contracted in their energy. They're just all contracted, as opposed to open, where you would see their wings flowing behind them, right? And full abundance. So you're feeling this energy of like, maybe I need to like really pull back and just like hoard my time, hoard my energy, hoard my finances, and protect my future. And when we get into this contracted energy, when we don't allow that abundance to flow out and in a reciprocal exchange, then we can kind of block some of the benefits and the things that could happen for our future. Threes, just like any other odd number, are a number of change, right? They're not quite as advanced of change as, say, a 5 or a 7, but a 3 is the beginnings of change, right? It's the beginnings of opening yourself, the beginnings of looking at all the other possibilities. So if you've developed something and you've had some success with that, some interest in that, some people coming in, you think, okay, well, this is what I need to do. I need to clamp down tight on this. But what if you didn't? What if you didn't, my Leos? Use your leadership. I mean, a lion is going to be out there. It's going to be proud. It's going to be talking about what it's developed. And I think you need to do that this month as well. I think you need to tap into that and release this energy of being all contracted in. Leos aren't contracted in. Come on now. We know that. My mother's a Leo. Like, we know this, right? We know that you do best when you're out there, when you're proud. You don't have to be loud, but you do be proud, take up space, hold your presence in the world and say, I have this beautiful thing that I don't want to hoard. I want it to be freely available. I don't mean free. I just mean widely available. And that is going to ensure that stability of your future, not contracting back and being in that hoarding energy and it's all mine and I have to keep it. When we spread that around, whether that's opportunities, referrals, money, whatever that is, more comes back, right? So Leos, this is the message for you, is don't be afraid to put yourself out there, to put your offer out there, to put your passion project out there, and to talk about it, and to tell people about it, and to invite them in to work with you on it. It's important, and you'll get a better result if you're not trying to be in that hoarding energy. So I look forward, Leos, to seeing you inside the community, and good luck to you this month. Welcome, Virgos, the goddess of wheat and agriculture. Well, we are coming into the fall, the autumn here, at least in the northern hemisphere, and then the spring in the southern hemisphere for those who are in different parts of our community. And of course, in the fall, there is all of the work that's been done over the summer, the planting, the cultivating, all of that, and then there's the harvest. And then for those of you in the southern hemisphere who are coming out of winter, that time of kind of rest, and at some point you'll be like entering into spring when there's new growth. I think that there should be something pretty exciting for you. This is your reading about leadership, career, passion projects, entrepreneurship, whatever you're into. And I'm just going to pull the bottom card here. Interesting. So Virgos, you got the unmarked trail, a revelation. And I loved this. As highly sensitive people, especially empaths, intuitives, mediums, healers, we are absolutely taking the unmarked path. I mean, it's just the way it is. Most of the ways we experience the world aren't the way that most people experience the world. A lot of things that we're really into, whether that's astrology or tarot or healing work or doing Reiki or, whatever that may be for you, it is an unmarked trail. I mean, there are some people who are blazing that trail, and we're fortunate. I'm not the very first oracle reader who's ever been on Zoom, right? There's many, many people. but we're each doing it in our own way. So I'm developing this reading in my own way, and you're being called now to develop your sacred work in your own way. I love this stone here in the middle. I'm really drawn to it. You know, here is the earthly realm that is bringing energy, expanding it up. Here is the sky, the universe, bringing that energy down. And to me, this is you, right? This is you. This is your whole self, your holistic view of yourself. And we could look at this and say, well, gosh, this looks like a pathway, but there's an obstacle, right? I have to go around this stalactite or whatever it would be in this cave. However, when you take the time to skirt carefully around that without tipping over this beautiful balanced sculpture, you can see that there's this glow on the other side. There's a lot waiting for you, my Virgos, right? A lot of harvest waiting for you. And you're going to get a revelation. You're going to have an understanding, because maybe you've felt kind of like in this cave, blocked by this energy for some time, and you'll know what this means for you. And you're like, if I can just get around the corner and out into the open and come out into the sky, I think that I can actually see what it is I need to see to move forward. And, you know, it's okay when you are traveling an unmarked trail, when you're taking the path less traveled, you are going to have some interesting revelations. And sometimes that revelation is, gosh, I've just been holding myself in this cave for no reason. So whatever reason someone needed to hear that, it felt like it wanted to come through me. If you have been holding yourself in this cave for no reason, it's time to release. It's time to move forward. It's time to go around. It's time to release that obstacle in your career, in your leadership, in your volunteerism, in your passion project, whatever it is, it's time to release and move forward. And you have it, right? You have everything that you need. You are ready, depending on where you live, either for the harvest or the new beginning. And it's waiting for you. And when you're forging the unmarked trail, you know, some of you will go, you know, just squeeze yourself right on by here. Some people might say, well, I'm just going to like go up to the ceiling and inch my way across. Another person says, well, what if I put a brace here and I took the stones out temporarily so I could get by, then I stuck them back in. So you get to decide whatever the solution is for you to get yourself past this obstacle that feels like I can't see where I'm going and I'm not getting anywhere. And yet you are. And in this month, you are going to have a revelation about that. You're going to understand exactly what to do here and how to move forward into that light and into that newness and into that expansion. And it's really interesting because this little area here is actually a moth, right? The moth spirit. And the moth spirit is, you know, primarily in a darker place, but it illuminates, right? It illuminates. And that's where your revelation is coming in. And I really hope that you decide to share with me what those revelations are. I'd love for you to put a comment below this reading to let me know what that is. It's always great in our community to share when we have those moments. We're like, there it is. I never understood, but now I do. And we all love that as we take this unmarked trail. So thank you, my dear Virgos, for being a part of this community. I look forward to connecting. Hello, my dear Libras, my air signs, my scales, my balancers, right? You know, I was talking to someone today about balance. I always said, you know, what we really like, because you can't always have perfect balance. I mean, we can't have perfect anything, right? But what we really like is harmony, right? What we really like is harmony. So let's see what is going on, my Libras, with your leadership, your entrepreneurship, your passion project message for this month. Let me take it right off the bottom here. Ooh, nice. All right, so you have the deep diver, diving into a task, right? And you see that there are a couple of jellyfish, you know, floating around. She's taking this incredibly deep dive. She's going heart first, right? So this is her body, there are legs, and then her head. And she's going heart first. She's like, I am all in. I'm diving in deep. And what that is for you, you know, it's interesting because Libra is an air sign. And of course, we have an enormous amount of water. So for me, this tells me that perhaps you've spent a little bit too much time recently in your head. And it's time to dive in and really explore your emotions. In addition to a task, right, which is very action oriented, there's all of the emotional attachments, meaning making that we do around these things that we take on in our lives. And I just want to look at her for a moment. She has sort of all of these bubbles coming up. She has flippers. So, you know, she has the tools that she needs. She's going to dive down. And then when she needs more air, she'll just, you know, kick and rise back up to the surface. The jellyfish are, they're usually illuminated under the water. So they're in deep, deep water. And some of them are phosphorescent, I think is the correct term for that. They light up everything around them. So there will be some helpers in this task that you're taking on, whether you're launching a new project, starting a business, building, you know, something that you're really passionate about, supporting a cause. This is about being really focused and perhaps creating a sense of priorities for yourself. You don't want to take a deep dive into every single thing, and you'd be exhausted if you try to do that, right? So you're going to pick this one thing that's really important to you, and you're going to dive in, and you're going to learn, and you're going to study, and you're going to practice, and you're going to become more masterful at it, and you're going to be an expert, right? As a, you know, I've never done scuba diving, but I do know that you have to start at very shallow water first. And you learn how to breathe and how to snorkel and how to do all these things before they let you take a really deep dive. And this is what it is. It's like you've already been swimming up there at the surface. You already know a lot about what you're going to do and what you're proposing to do and what you're thinking about doing. And now it's time to really dive in and build that mastery and sense into how you are feeling in your body, in your heart, right? In your sacral chakra, really, which is the water energy, the feminine, the nurturing. What is this for you, right? What is this for you? You're going to be the one who knows. You're going to know what this task is. And I bet when you're watching this, you're like, yep, I know what she's talking about. And I've just been swimming around up there, paddling around at the surface. And now it's time to dive in. Right? It's time to dive in. And this is going to be a level of completion, right? So you've been doing this thing for a while. And this is really the accumulation of it. This is really when you become more of an expert at it. This is really when you learn what you're made of, right? What you're made of. So I love, love, love Libras for you to tell me what it feels like to be down here in this water, taking this deep dive, diving in, making something a priority, and taking it beyond the superficial. Please share with me. I'd love to hear what's coming up for you. And I wish you the best in this task. You're going to be successful. You've got all the tools that you need. You have the illumination. You probably have some partnerships coming up and other people and other resources that can help you to get accomplished what it is that you've had on your heart and your mind for so long. Welcome, Scorpios. I love the Scorpio energy. I'm always so interested in that shadow side of us, that part that's hidden underneath, the part that sometimes can feel a little dangerous, for us to access. And I'm just so excited to see what your leadership, your career, your entrepreneurship, your passion project message is for this particular month. Oh, this one really wanted to flip out. I was going to take the one on the bottom, but I like to take those jumpers. So let's see what we have here. Woo, I love it. This is so exciting for you, Scorpio. Magician sword, confidence in your magic, right? So do you know that you have magic? Do you know that when you speak out what you desire? Do you know when you think about what you want? Do you know when you have that passion and that fire in your belly that you are actively manifesting exactly what you want? And this sword is pointing upward, right? It's pointing upward. It is an upward trajectory. So perhaps you've been in this situation where you had this desire, you had this thought, you knew there was something you wanted to take on, but you didn't have the confidence for it. And this sword is like, here I am. I'm pointing straight up. This is the trajectory we're going. We're ready. I mean, it has all this beautiful inscription on here. Maybe this is light language. For example, it's got a gorgeous hilt. And it looks like there's actually a heart shape here at the bottom, right? So this is coming deeply rooted from your passion, from your love of whatever it is that you're going to be pursuing. And this is about owning your magic, owning your confidence, taking up space, holding your presence, talking confidently about what you're doing, being super focused and honed in on what you bring to the world and what you want to do and how you want to serve. And you know, magicians have all different kinds of reputations throughout history, right? Some people thought a magician was a charlatan. Some people thought a magician was absolutely incredible and awe-inspiring. Some people thought magicians were dangerous. And so you get to decide what magic means to you. For me, sometimes magic is just like going outside and looking at the incredible beauty of the nature around me and realizing I'm a part of this. I'm meant to be here, that I'm meant to be connected, that what I'm doing matters, right? And so I just encourage you to own this. I encourage you to look at, you know, what is this that I've been honing? I talk about this in other videos. When we first start to make a sword in the forge, it starts out just as a lump of metal, right? It doesn't look like anything impressive. And they stick it on the anvil and they start hammering and hammering and hammering. And then they temper it in the water, right? They, you know, and then they hammer it some more and they hone it. And then they start to carve these beautiful symbols and it becomes something really unique. The weight of it, where the handle's located, it's made for each person. So whatever it is that you're developing is made specifically for you. You are crafting this. You are becoming masterful at crafting this. And this is about owning your powers of manifestation, your ability to ask for what you need and to receive that, having confidence, trusting your knowing, being really clear about what direction you're going. And you're going to know, Scorpios, what I'm talking about here. I can feel your heads nodding on the other side of the camera. It's time. It's time. You know, you're not just this raw lump of metal anymore. You are a fine work of art. And it's time for you to own that. And I hope to hear more about how that comes up for you inside the community and in the comments box. Thank you, Scorpios, for being here. Welcome, Sagittarius. I am actually a Sagittarius moon. I love the Archer. I love the philosophical aspects of this. I love the travel and all of the things that are related to the Archer and this fire sign. So let's see what your leadership, entrepreneurship, career, soul purpose point of the reading is today. Let me pull from the bottom here. Aha. Interesting. This is beautiful for me since I live in the desert. So here is the horned cactus, right? The horned cactus. And it's asking you, Sagittarius, to be resourceful, right? To be resourceful this month. You know, I only moved here to the desert just a few months ago. I'm getting used to all the cactuses. They're beautiful. I mean, the skin that's on there, the coloration, the flowers that emerge from them, they are a huge reservoir of water. So if you were lost in the desert, for example, you could actually cut open a cactus and you could drink the juice and you would survive. You would be able to be hydrated and nourished. However, every plant on my property, just about, has massive thorns, right, to protect itself, to keep birds and other predators from just like sucking it dry, right? So it might be interesting for you, Sagittarius, to think about there's certain areas of your life that have been sucking you dry, that have been draining you, that have been taking away your hydration, making you just feel desiccated and dry and not full and, you know, plump and all those things, right? It would just be really interesting to see where that is. And the 2 and the 9 come to an 11, which is a master number. This is really all about pursuing what lights you up. You can see that behind it is this beautiful glow starting to come, starting to light up and illuminate these spines. And these spines play an important role in protection and also with containing these resources, right? So if you've had a lot of different resources, and I'm just kind of talking about this intuitively. I don't know who I'm speaking with, but you'll know what I'm saying and whether this matches you. If you've had a hard time gathering your resources, if you have felt like everything's sort of scattered and all over the place, this is an invitation to pull it all together, to perhaps set some healthy boundaries for yourself or for others about what you're willing to give and what you're willing to, and what you cannot give, and how much you can do and how much you cannot do. And to be very resourceful. This doesn't invite you to go looking around for a bunch of other things that you think you need. This is like you have everything right in front of you. How are you going to use it? How are you going to use it? So I love this. I would love to hear how this is coming up for you, Sagittarius. It's an interesting card. And usually when I get it for myself, I'm like, oh man. But we really do realize, like, gosh, maybe I have the software package that I need. And maybe I already know this person that I can talk to about releasing this project into the world. And maybe I could actually use all the photographs I already had to make memes for my social media account or whatever it is. It's like, maybe I don't need to look for one more thing and one more thing. Maybe it's all right here. And if I just organize it and I hold some boundaries about how much I'm willing to give and what I'm focusing on, then I actually have everything that I already need. And it's a beautiful message. And it kind of takes us out of that energy of more. I just need to find the next thing and the next thing. And so much of our society, particularly in the business world, if you're running a business, is all about that. You need to make more money. You need to do this. You need to do that. Well, what if you actually have like a really great structure already? What if you already have those resources you need? You could just kind of repackage it in a different way and offer it and still meet a need, but also meet your needs as well. So you're not overgiving. You're not being sucked dry. So I'd love to hear what this is for you, Saggies. And I look forward to connecting with you inside the community. Welcome, Capricorn, the goat, my earthy friends. You know, I grew up in Oregon in the western side of the United States, and my family lived on a farm, and we had an entire flock, I don't know if that's the right term, of goats. And they were my favorite. I love to hang out with them. Goats have an amazing personality. They're fun. They're playful. Maybe this is a message for you about that. So let's see, Capricorn, because Capricorns are all about the work, all about the career, all about getting things done, right? I have a Capricorn North node, which is where I'm going in this lifetime. And it's a lot about just do, get it done. Very masculine energy. Nothing wrong with that. But we have to just kind of balance those things. And so it's really funny that I say that, because here we are in the heart home, right? So this is the, not the opposite energy. I don't want to say that, but this is the energy of, you know, not being so logical, not being so analytical, not being so goal driven, really connecting in with your heart, with your compassion, with your interpersonal relationships, connecting in with what it is that you need to be nourished, as opposed to what it is you need to accomplish, right? And so we have the 2 and the 7, which gets to a 9. So that's all about fulfillment, happiness, connection, love. Yeah, it's just a really energizing space. And so we have an entire community of houses. Each one is a little different. Actually, the ones in the back look all the same, and then the one in the front is very, very different. So you're creating something, Capricorn, that is just for you. There are all of these beautiful heart ornaments here, and of course, this gorgeous butterfly about transformation. So if you have been in this work mode, and I've been there, you know, I was a type A personality. I was a workaholic, you know, working 65, 70 hours a week until I got burnt out. And I realized I was not doing this service from the heart. I was doing it from the old mental conditioning, which told me I need to achieve and I need to get this thing taken care of. And when I started to release that, when I started to utilize that as a strength, when it was effective and when I could apply it when I needed to. And then I realized there were times I needed to release that and be in my heart. And you can actually marry those two energies. So I have set a goal for myself to do this kind of reading every single month so that the members of our community can benefit from that and get a leadership message. And yet I sat down, I hydrated myself, I got into my heart, I just nurtured, and I'm here giving you a loving, kind message. So you can still do your work, you can still pursue your career, you can still run your business, but this has to be a part of it. You can't leave this part behind. And so I don't know who needed to hear that today. You will know what I'm talking about in your own circumstance. You know, make room for this vision. You know, when we get laser focused and we're in that energy and we're doing and we're fixing and we're, you know, selling and we're doing these things, drop in. Take a moment to get quiet and drop in. What do you need to be nurtured, Capricorns? You know, goats, you know, they're very loving animals. Yes, they're busy and they run and they jump and they play and they climb and they do all these things, but then they get together and they cuddle and they talk and they, you know, rub up against you, and there's this heart energy, and this is where you need to be this month. So cultivate this within yourselves, and please let me know how this goes for you, Capricorn. Welcome, my Aquarius friends, the water bearers, the star energy, my air signs, right? The big humanitarians, the ones who care deeply about our planet and everything that's happening. And gosh, as a sensitive person, if you're an Aquarius, and I have several in my life, you know, it's hard for you to turn that off, right? It's hard. So let's see what just flew out here. Okay. Yeah. So you have overflow, overwhelm, and plenty, right? So we think when we have plenty, that would be a great thing. Of course, who doesn't want plenty? We want abundance. We want plenty of opportunities, plenty of, you know, wealth coming into our business or our career, plenty of friends, if that's what you like. You know, everyone has a different size inner circle, plenty of ideas, all those things. However, especially as sensitive people, we can get into overwhelm, right? Sometimes so many things come in that you cannot keep up with it. And so this is delicate balance between too much and just enough, right? So wherever you have been, Aquarius, and in the tarot, the Aquarius card looks like usually a woman kneeling by the water, and she's pouring some of her energy onto the land and some of her energy onto the water. And this is an invitation to say, okay, being a receiver of all that wants to flow through is amazing. Sometimes we get so many opportunities, so many choices that we just shut down. We just get overwhelmed. It starts to flood. The energy here just starts to flood, right? And we can begin to see that there's these little symbols on top of the buildings, and some of them have actually fallen to the side because there's so much water, so much water. You know, I actually live in the desert, and recently we just went through the monsoon season, and I was teasing my partner going, well, how much of a monsoon can it be? We only get 4 inches of rain per year. But when it rains, it pours down rain, and there's nowhere for the water to go. It just sits on top of hard surfaces. There's flooding, people's houses get flooded. So you would think that being in the desert, you wouldn't have this problem, right? But there can be too much of a good thing. So I invite you to think about, where is something that you love, you enjoy, becoming too much of a good thing, becoming too overwhelming to manage, whether that's a responsibility you've taken on or all of the different opportunities that you have, particularly if you're running a conscious business. You might be out there marketing yourself and trying to get on podcasts as a guest or this or that. And then all of a sudden, all this stuff comes in. And this is where we're invited to say, I'm going to release a scarcity mentality. I'm going to release the mentality that if I say no to this, then nothing will ever come again. Like it's either feast or famine. I either have to take it all now or I have to let it all go, right? And that's not how it works. It's not how it works. You pick the things that are most resonant with you, right? And you leave the rest so that you can manage doing your soul work and being a highly sensitive person so that you can thrive while you serve. Because when we get underwater and we don't have a life vest or anything like that, and we're flailing around, we're like, I asked for it, but now it's too much. We can always say no. And more will come later. More will always come later. So you're going to know what this is for you, Aquarius. And this is a high spiritual lesson for you. Right? This is a lesson that maybe you've repeated this cycle over and over. You've been asking for things, all that comes in, you go, wait a minute, I didn't want all of that. What is this cycle and how do you move yourself out of it? How do you shift that energy so that you just get what you need and nothing more, right? You just get what you need and nothing more, nothing overwhelming and nothing that's too dry either, right? It's this nice balance. Like the Goldilocks effect, right? It's the porridge is exactly the right temperature, and the chair is the right size, and the bed is the right comfort level. This is what you're going for. So this is what you're exploring here in this month, and I'd love to have you share with me what comes up for you. Thank you so much, my Aquarian friends. I'll see you inside the community. Hello, Pisces, my lovely fishes and water signs. You are the final astrology sign in this reading, but you are not last, my friends. You are not last whatsoever. So let's see what message wants to flow through for you about your career, about your leadership, about your business, whatever that may be. Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so this is the beloved card, radical acceptance, radical acceptance. So you see that's the number 2, which is the number of partnership, connection. Of course, as a Pisces, you know that your symbolism is about duality, right? Sometimes polarity, sometimes duality. Depends on how you choose to interpret it. You see this fiery heart here, right? So generally speaking, you are more deeply into the water sign energy. You're more deeply into the intuition, the emotions. But this is actually inviting you to burn away something that has been drowning you in the past. It's just a way that I know how to describe it, right? There could be a person, in which case there's been a lack of acceptance. There's been a lack of unconditional love. There's been a lack of connection, a lack of understanding. There's been, perhaps even some kind of angry energy between you and another. It could be an environment, a home that you live in. It could be a business that you're running. It could be your coworkers. It could be any other thing. And of course, we know that we're all one. So the concept of the other is really just something that we do in our humanness. But when we feel so different, when we feel this lack of understanding, maybe it's being misunderstood, Maybe it's trying to communicate something and nobody's listening, or we can't get together. Maybe it's trying to find a solution to a problem. Maybe it's, seeking out a business partner. It could be a lot of things. You're going to know what this is. Sometimes we try to push. Sometimes we try to make it happen. Sometimes we try to make it fit. It will fit if it does, and it won't if it won't. And this month is inviting you, my dear Pisces, to come into a level of radical acceptance within yourself, that this is how the situation is. And of course, you have all of the opportunity to decide how you want to show up. This is how the other person is, or here's how the business is, or here's how the partnership is, or here's how my boss is, or whatever it is. I am radically accepting that this is exactly what's happening right now. And with that radical acceptance, instead of sitting in the illusionary energy that we want it to be different, we have this vision of like how a person could be different, how a job could be different, how a home could be different. But it is what it is. And this is about really coming up out of that emotional energy and addressing exactly what it's like in this present moment, and not necessarily trying to make it any different. And radical acceptance is really challenging. I spent an entire year with the affirmation that I radically accept myself and others. And it was one of the hardest years because so many people came forward in my life and so many situations to allow me to say, do you really mean that, Bevan? Do you really mean that you're just going to allow it to be what it is without trying to fix it, rescue it, change it, save it? Yeah. My Pisces, you could often get into that rescuer and fixer mode. And really the only person that we can do that with is ourselves. And really my opinion is we don't really need saving either. We're not broken. We are whole. But how do we come into this radical acceptance? And then how do we take action? Because this is a fire card, right? And the fire is about wands, taking action. How do we take action from this place of radical acceptance? How do we say, this is how it is at this moment. I accept that. And because of that, here's where I'm choosing to move forward or not move forward, or hold a boundary or communicate something, or it's going to be a deal breaker and I'm going to allow that to fall apart. Or I feel like because we are in this place, there's a possibility that I could change my mind about it and I could meet them halfway. So you're going to know what the right path of action is with the situation, but you are being called to address what exactly is in front of you right now and not the illusion that you'd like it to be. So thank you, my Pisces. You're welcome to share what that was. And I look forward to seeing you inside the community.